Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. This is Mike, Narco Cop MMA. This is my YouTube channel. We're going to be going over Dana White's Contender Series Week 6. Um, I had a week off last week. I couldn't do a stream. I had some family issues. I was out of town. But I'm back this week. I'm back with two very sharp guys. Um, Everybody knows Mr. Uncle Weezy. Guy is Mr. Ass Shaver, man. That's who it is. And then we got Liam. Also, Liam's going to be here today. I didn't goof up his name this time. Maybe he's not going to be mad at me. Um, but I'm going to do a little recap of my last week real quick. I'm going to go over a couple of the bets I made, and then we're going to move on to this week's card. I just want to thank everybody that's here in chat today, and we're just going to have a good show today, man. Two great guys on the show. What's up, Tim? That's my guy, Tim, right there. Narco, Liam, and Weezy. Let's do this. Yes, Tim. Thank you for joining us, brother. Dad's Fire, hit the like. Let's go. Been itching to bet won this card since Vegas 39 looks so lackluster. Yeah, we're gonna give you some picks, man. Honestly, this week's card is pretty tough. Dalton, welcome back. Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you, Dalton. Thank you, Asphalt. Let's go, brother. Let's go. Okay, quick recap. Last week I didn't do a show again, like I said, but actually did really well in my picks. I picked Caio Barahalo, whatever his name is, from Brazil, plus 145, 2 units against Aaron Jeffrey. I figured he's the better guy everywhere, to be honest, and he actually was way better on the feet. Outpointed Jeffrey. The only thing that I had worried about, and I said that in my thing, was, his cardio. I was kind of scared just because of Jeffrey's cardio. Jeffrey has really good cardio. I was worried, and we did see that actually, because I think he did lose that third round. But I mean, his cardio was intact. I mean, he was fine. Really outpointed Jeffrey there, and it was a 2-unit bet at plus 145. I won 2.9 units. It was great. The other bet was Daniel Zellhuber at minus 176. Beat the line by a mile there. Lucas Almeida. Honestly, he showed me a lot more than what I thought he was going to show. Moved his head pretty well in that first round, threw some bombs. I knew Zellhuber had a very good chin. I actually knew Almeida had a really good chin. Both guys have unbelievable chins. It was such a scrap. But, after that first round, Zellhuber really took over, started timing his, started making him miss a lot more. Pretty much got Almeida really tired by the third round, swinging and missing a lot. Dominated that second and third round, easily cruised to a win there after that scary first round, I'll say. But the much better technical fighter, Almeida, honestly, is probably a good guy to get into the UFC just because of how exciting he is. The other bet was Kunaev and Santos over 1.5, plus 120, half a unit there. That was also a bet in that I see what Kunaev did on tape. It was a lot of cage pushing, a lot of clinching, a lot of stalling on the cage before he worked his takedowns, and which is part of the reason why I like that over 1.5. He takes his time, kind of cage pushing, getting his guys tired, and then eventually taking them down and either ground and pound or submitting them, which is what he kind of did to Santos, right? He got Santos tired. Eventually, by the third round, got him down, and then after that, Santos basically quit, and he put him out. I also had a small stab on Caio at by submission at plus 400. That didn't work out. Jeffrey's takedown defense was too good. Couldn't really keep him down here. When he did put him down, I think he put him down with like a judo throw, but he couldn't keep him down there. So yeah, overall, plus 4 units. Great week. I think I also hit a couple of live bets. I don't remember what they were off the bat because I'm looking at my bet MMA, but yeah, I hit some live bets too. So it was a great week. Enough of that. Let me bring in these two great gentlemen here. First off, I'm going to bring in this talented stat guru that everybody calls the stat guru right here. There he is, Uncle Weezy. on vacation. The man is on vacation and still here. That's what I call dedication.
Hey, man, we got to make some money. It doesn't matter if we're on vacation or not, dude. These fights go on whether we're on vacation or not. So, you know what? I created a spreadsheet. I'm going to drop the link to the spreadsheet, Narco Cop, in your chat here so that everybody who's watching along can follow along with the stats that I compiled. Now, we don't have striking or grappling stats because none of these guys have really fought in the UFC yet, but I do have strength of schedule stats. I got experience stats. And measurables for everybody. So I'm going to throw that in the chat right now, the link to that. And let's bring in Liam and let's start to figure out some angles on this card, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. One more thing I just want to add. I remember there's somebody in Twitter that was calling you out. They wanted stats. That guy better be in this chat today because you brought the stats. All right, Liam. There he is. Liam Fight Picks. What's up, brother? How are you?
What's going on, gentlemen? How are we doing this evening?
Oh, what did I do here? Good. Very good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm happy to be here. I didn't get down any tracked bets on last week's Contender Series, unfortunately, but I did a stream myself live. I was in Jersey placing the bets. I couldn't track them on time, but was able to cash with you on the same underdog play on Barajo there. So happy to cash together on that one. And I'm actually 6 for 6 on these Contender Series events so far. Granted, there was one plus 0.1 unit event. So, haven't missed yet. Knock on wood. Let's hope we can get another one across the finish line.
Listen, 0.1 unit is better than a minus 0.1 unit. I'll say that. So, hey, six week winning streak. I've had a really good run too in Dana White's Contender Series. It's been really good for me. Low levels have been great for me. It's just been insane. But Asphalt says, Paulo, oh, yeah, I goofed that up. Joey, let's go. Mushroom, we're in a great show. Let's fucking go. Tim, happy Kaio is getting another shot. Thought he deserved it. Yeah, that's another thing. I don't know if you guys heard Weezy or Liam. He's getting another shot. Kaio's getting another shot in 3 weeks. So the dude is probably still in Vegas. He's like, give me that shot.
I love it.
Blind told your Kaio pick, and he looked great. Thank you, man. Thank you for having that trust and blind. I don't recommend anybody blind tailing me just because I give you the stuff that I see on tape. Sometimes you might see something different, and you might see a flaw that I didn't catch, So I appreciate it. Weezy, look at that. Philip is in the house for Weezy. Dave Crack, talk dirty to me. I'm not talking dirty here. Asphalt, dedication, advocate. Man, the dude is. How many shows have you done, Uncle?
Oh man, dude, I did Z's Fair Play podcast on Friday. I did Brady's Best Bet show on Saturday. I'm with Stack Diggers last night for like 2 hours, and yeah, man, even when I'm on vacation, I love talking MMA. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, dude, I'm gonna get back to the TV here after we're done tonight and relax and get to my next beverage. But I got some time to talk with you guys.
I appreciate you joining us, man. I know it's tough on vacation, but it was great to have you. Uncle Weezy, ass shaving time. Is there any ass shavings over here, Uncle Weezy, or what? You gonna give these guys some ass shavings?
Yeah, the cat from Alaska FC definitely not getting a lot of credit so far. So we're going to look into the stats, but I got to talk to you guys about what you see on tape here, because then we might make one official.
All right, perfect. All right, you know what? Let's kick this off. We're going to start with the first fight. Patrick White going up against Gennaro Valdez. Let's start it off with Liam. Go ahead.
Awesome, man. And, this is actually the matchup I probably spent the most time with because I ended up finding some interesting stuff on White. I wasn't able to find all of his fights. I wasn't able to find a couple. I think it was the one loss that he had I wasn't able to find. But I was able to find some boxing matches that he had, including one that went to, right up until the decision. So I actually got to see him over some extended minutes. It doesn't look like his cardio is like absolutely fall off a cliff bad or anything like that. And he's got a pretty well put together striking game, I guess. He throws pretty basic 1-2s. He likes to stay active with his hands. but he doesn't strike me as the most talented guy. You know, the level of competition, I'm sure you guys are going to touch on this as well, has been quite poor. I think I had in my notes his opposition was 17-7, you know, which is a decent enough winning percentage, but they just haven't fought anybody. So, you know, he's fighting really inexperienced guys, and we know that regional scene is not known for much. I can attest personally, you know, he actually boxed one of the guys that he beat twice in MMA as well. So he's just kicking this guy's ass every weekend. You know, I don't know why they keep doing it to that guy. But I think that overall, Patrick White doesn't have as much that I'd like to see from somebody I'm going to back on tape. And that's why he's such a big underdog here. He's also coming from Alaska FC. I think the secret's out that a lot of those guys aren't that talented. Even the best of the bunch, you know, Uros Medic, I was able to cash in on the fade train in that spot. So, you know, these Alaska FC fighters are unfortunately burdened by the fact that they don't really get tested. They don't get a tremendous amount of high-level competition. And, you know, even in some of these low-level fights, you see mistakes and things that better fighters could capitalize on in the game of Patrick White. I saw that he got taken down, by example, right into the full mount. And his opposition was so bad, he was able to just roll right back on top. But if that happens against a credible jiu-jitsu player, you could not only get stuck underneath for the rest of the round, you could get finished. And you could also get beat on with strikes from that position if somebody's a competent, you know, ground player. And what I like on tape from Valdez is that he's a competent ground player, in my opinion. You know, I see a lot of takedowns right to dominant positions, which is something that I love to see from these prospects. And, you know, he knows what his game is. When he gets to striking, he starts wrestling right away, and he pushes people against the cage. He keeps himself in a lot of safe positions. So, you know, the money line is getting absolutely blown out of the water. What did this fight open up as? Almost a pick 'em, you know, minus 125, 55% indication for Valdez. And now he's a minus 650 favorite on the biggest houses. And if you're looking, you know, the best market price is Betway holding a stale line of minus 400. Yeah, but everywhere else in the market is over minus 500, minus 550. So I think the secret's out that Valdez is the better fighter here. But, you know, I did take a sneaky angle, in my opinion. Everybody's kind of expecting Valdez to go out here and knock him out. And we've seen relentless, you know, aggression from Valdez. So I get it. But I also think that Valdez is a really opportunistic submission threat. And I think that against a guy who's got power, you know, say whatever else you want about Patrick White, he's knocking guys out in boxing. He's stumbling guys all over the place, you know, but he's a pretty big guy for the weight division. So I think all things considered, Valdez is probably going to have his way with him on the ground here. And for that reason, I'm targeting half a unit, Valdez by submission at plus 250 and nothing else on this fight right now. You know, I would have considered parlaying up Valdez at some of those earlier prices, but just the market's already decided this one. And I don't think I'm going to really extract value at minus 550. So money line is a pass for me. But otherwise, you know, I do think Valdez inside the distance at minus 235. If you're able to parlay that, I don't know where you could, but that would be almost a parlay piece for me here. But, you know, I will also say we've seen relative toughness from Patrick White against low-level opposition. So do I want to bank on that heavy chalk that he's going to finish him? Probably not. So I think it's just going to be that poke on the submission line for me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with some of the sentiment you say in Patrick White. I'll go over some of what I looked at from Patrick White, and I know the guy is from Avalanche Wrestling, which is somewhere there in Alaska. But he is a stand-up guy. He's by no means any type of grappler, wrestler. I don't see it on any of his tape. His striking to me is not good at all. He likes to throw a lot of leg kicks. I'll say that. I think he has 2 stoppages by leg kicks. Like, he's crumpling these guys with leg kicks. So we're going to say that his opposition is very, very low level. I'll say that just by watching the tape. I don't care what the record is that he's fighting. I'm just looking at the tape and seeing that those guys are just really bad. he is very flat-footed when it comes to his striking. I noticed that also. And he's very right-handed happy. Like if you go watch his tape, he just constantly throwing the right hands and never following up any left hooks. It's like right hand, right uppercut. He likes to throw the uppercut. I noticed that. But it's constantly right hand. He's like gun shy to throw either left, or he doesn't work it a lot, or I don't know what the deal is, but he's very right-handed happy. He has like absolutely zero urgency to get on the ground. Many times in his fight, he's gotten guys like down with the leg kicks, and he just like wants them to stand up, just because I don't know if he doesn't feel comfortable down there, or the fact that he just so much better standing up than these guys, right? So I'm going to move over now to Valdez, and the guy trains out of Entrum Gym in Mexico, and that's a really good gym out there. I mean, there's some really good guys that are out there. Brandon Moreno is out there. Alejandro Perez that fought last week is out there. A bunch of really good guys in Mexico train at this gym. The dude, like you said, likes to grapple, right? The dude, he strikes so that he can go in and clinch and take you down, right? He likes that. He has a good ground game. I wouldn't call it great, because a lot of times I saw him get swept in some of these fights where I wasn't too happy with what I saw, but he's really aggressive on top, hunting for submissions, ground and pound. You know, he does it all on the ground. Like he's submission and anything else over position. That's what the guy is. He's really aggressive on the ground. Gets good, takedowns, but he himself gets taken down a lot. We're not going to see that here. It's not going to be a problem here because White just doesn't grapple at all. I also saw, a kind of a flaw from Valdez is when he throws punches, he's like literally charging forward, throwing punches with his head up. So he can get clipped. I wouldn't consider his striking anywhere near good. It's wild. Okay. It's wild to get his takedowns. He's good on the ground. He's fought really low level competition. So I'm not going to call his competition anywhere near good. You go back and look, the best guy he's beat is, this guy that's, I guess that's another thing I do want to mention. The guy, Hilario Portelas, 4-0 guy that he fought. I mean, that was an absolute war. Like Portelas had him in some really bad spots in that fight. I don't know how good this guy Portelas is. He looked decent, but he gave him a hell of a fight. So, this line honestly has gotten completely out of hand, but there's no way I'm playing any type of poke on White. If to be honest, I think he's going to look minus 650 after this is over. That's just what I saw from White was not good anywhere. I think he's going to get him to the ground and it's going to be over. Whether it's going to be submission or ground and pound, I am not sure. That's where I'm not sure.
Did you see the fight where they pulled the guy out of the crowd on 2 hours notice? And it was a 170-pound bout where the guy weighed in 136 pounds. Patrick White, when he fought, oh, goodness gracious, man. Dallas Hanna, 0-0, Alaska FC. It's contested at 170 pounds. And if you listen on commentary, they tell you the guy's 136 pounds. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. The guys he's fighting, that one was just like a sanctioned beatdown of a man half his size. It was crazy. The guy's jumping to hit him. I'm not kidding. Go back and watch that fight. It's hysterical.
I didn't see that one, but what I did do is, that Tristan Dehart that he beat back to back.
Yeah.
There was no tape on it. Did you find any tape on that fight?
The boxing match. Yes.
Oh, just the boxing match. But I'm talking
where he knocks him out with like one punch.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. But did you see the MMA one?
I don't think that I did.
Yeah. Go back and watch. So what I did is I went back and watched this Tristan Dehart to see how he does in MMA. I mean, the guy is horrendous. How does he have 5 wins? I just have no idea. But
he probably fought a bunch of 0-0 guys.
The fight I saw, I saw the fight against David Booker. My God, he looked horrendous, man. And then I figured, okay, this guy is 5-2, but like, come on. So, yeah, for me, I don't have a play here. I can't possibly tell someone to take a minus 650 and feel good about it. I think he covers the price. If you want to put him on parlays, to be honest, I'm really confident that he's going to win this fight. Patrick White just does not look good to me. And even if Patrick White is to catch Valdez has a really good chin. I'll say that. He got clipped many times, Bart said. Huge punches. Took him. He's got a really good chin. So I don't see anything that Patrick White is going to give him that's going to give him problems. He's going to take him down, and it's going to be over. I talked too long for this fight. Go ahead, Uncle Weezy. Sorry.
Oh, no problem at all. Yeah. So here's the stats that I got for you guys on this one. Let's see. We got Patrick White 1 year younger. He's going to be much taller, about 4 inches taller, but they got the same reach. The experience stats are almost identical. The finish stats, Gennaro Valdez has finished all 9 of his wins. Patrick White has finished all 9 of his wins. Patrick White's only loss coming inside the distance by knockout, but it's Valdez that's the more diverse finisher, having 3 wins by sub, 6 wins by knockout, while Patrick White's just knocking dudes out. And then if we look at the strength of schedule numbers, it's like Narco Cop said, they're actually similar. Patrick White is overall fighting guys with losing records with a 1.8 wins and 2 losses. But Gennaro Valdez is fighting guys with 2.11 wins and 1.67 losses. The wins are slightly better for Valdez. Patrick White lost to a guy with a 3-8 record, a 4-7 record. I'm sorry about that. 4-7 record. So yeah, even the loss on White's record is not good. And then if we just kind of look through the individual names here, for White, I think his best win is over Tyson Duckworth, who's 6-7, and then Trey McClanahan, who's 4-3. And with Valdez, he's got that win over Hilario Portales, who's 5-1. And then Miguel Arizmendi, 8-6. So he's got a couple of good wins, but he doesn't have any wins that are signature wins either. So the fact that he's minus 650 right now, it's obviously a little bit wide, so I'm probably going to stay away from it. But, my last ass shaving of the week was coming out of Entrum Gym, you guys, one Alejandro Perez, who, showed Eduardo the door, the 43-year-old Johnny Eduardo the door, as soon as he got it to the mat. And I'm liking what Liam's saying about this one, because we do know that he's a diverse finisher, and this guy White, you're saying Narco Cop, has no ground game whatsoever. So yeah, at plus money, if you're looking to extract some value out of a minus 650 favorite, it looks like Liam's got a great pick there.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. The only concern was he does do a lot of good ground and pound, so that was my only concern. But yeah, I think probably the submission prop is better than the KO prop here. What I will say is, there was a prop up and they removed them, the over under, it was 1.5. I really like the under 1.5 depending on the price, because I don't think this is going to go past 7.5 minutes. I think it's going to be domination. I think you're going to get a better price than minus 240, which is inside the distance price. And I think he's going to finish it early if he gets the finish, because you go back and look at Valdez. He finishes most of his fights early, except for that Portales fight that he finished in the 3rd round. So I do like the under 1.5 if we can get a decent number. We don't have anything up right now, so we'll have to wait and see for that one, what they're going to put it out as. But we'll move on, unless you guys have something else. Anything else, Ed? Okay, perfect. Let's move on. Second fight of the night, Shante Barnes against Joseph Holmes. I can kick this one off. I'll start with Barnes. He fights out of American Top Team in Asheville. The dude is, I'll say one thing about him. I don't think he has any idea what he's doing off his back. He's not really good off his back. Pretty sloppy striker when I watch him. I know, I guess he has some kind of judo base, but his striking is not all that good. I'm going to give you a great stat. This guy's level of opposition, guys, is 41 and 154. How on God's earth do you find these guys where you're 41 and 154? And to top it off, the guy only has 8 fights. 41, and 154 is hard to do, and having only 8 fights with your opposition, but that's what he has. The guy that likes to throw a lead right hook, I see it a lot on his tape. He just throws this lead right hook all the time on tape. But he fights out of a southpaw stance. So he's a southpaw, but he's throwing a lot of these basically check right hooks that he likes throwing a lot. He does throw with power. I'll give him that, but he's not really technical. He's I guess, looking at his Facebook and this guy is like really into MMA. He has this show called Trash Talk. He's had it for like 2-3 years. It's about a lot of MMA stuff. It's all about a lot of other things, but it's a lot of MMA content. So he's into MMA himself. I don't really like his tape too much. I don't really know what to make of the guy because he's fighting these really, really low-level guys. Like I said, the only thing I can make out is his striking looks pretty good. He does have pop on his punches. He has some submissions early on, but the guys are such extremely low-level opponents. So going on Holmes' side, dude is 26 years old. Huge dude. 6'4". He's going to have a huge reach advantage, 79-inch reach. He's only 26 years old. He was fighting out of SFS gym in Texas, but I know he did this camp and recently has been fighting out of Glory MMA. So he is with James Krause currently. I'm sure he's going to have some improvement. I like his jab. He has a nice long jab. He's a BJJ brown belt. So he's well-versed, on the ground. Striking is decent. He's got a good one too. Guy has been really, really active. That's one thing I really like about this guy is the fact that he's had 13 fights in 4 years. So the guy has been really active. He's looking to fight. He has some type of Muay Thai background too. He was a college D lineman, which is what I researched. I heard in one of the things that this guy, it was a D lineman, so he's athletic. But you go and watch, the fight against Diggs, his last fight, 2 different times he's on top and he gets swept and he becomes on the bottom. So, his ground game, I know he's a BJJ brown belt. I don't understand why he's getting swept by a guy like Diggs that's not really good on the ground. It shouldn't happen. But there are a lot of pluses to this guy's game. He's got good cardio. I saw his cardio really, in Bellator he's fought. He showed decent cardio in the fight where he went 3 rounds. Other than that, his ground game is okay. But, I think he's a lot better than what Barnes gives you here. The guy is training at a lot better gym. He's probably improving. He's only 26. He's a much bigger guy. The one bet that stood out to me in this fight is because I really don't want to lay the juice because I'm not like saying, Holmes is a wow fighter because he really isn't. And I'm not laying minus 450 with him. But what I did find on Bet Online was Holmes by KO at plus 650. I really like that line. He's the much bigger guy, much longer guy. He's got good striking. I know if you go back and look, he's predominantly finishing guys with submissions, but the dude can strike. And you go back and watch the Ryan Lenninger fight in LFA. He hurt him bad. Then he gave him a nice knee and knocked him out. The guy has a good striking. It's just that, a lot of these fights, and if you go back and look at them, they're getting to the ground because he's not really initiating the grappling. The other guys are, and somehow they're getting to the ground and then he's submitting them. So he's not the guy that's really looking to grapple that much. And he is a BJJ brown belt, but he's looking to strike more in this fight is what I saw. So yeah, plus 650, number is really good. I think that number is down now. It's probably, last I saw it was plus 500, which I mentioned to you guys. Yeah, it's currently at plus 500. I just think, if he gets his hands on Barnes, I think he can KO him. Just because he's how much bigger he is, he does throw with power. So that's the only thing I can come out with from this fight as far as a betting perspective. We'll move on to Uncle Weezy. You got any different perspective here?
No, I just wanted to go over the stats for you guys here on this one. And you were right about the level of competition of one Shante Barnes. It is absolutely god awful. But we're going to start with that size advantage that we were talking about with Joe Holmes here. Not only is Joe Holmes 8 years younger than Shante Barnes, 26 for Joe Holmes, 34 for Barnes. Joe Holmes is also 5 inches taller and has a 4-inch reach advantage. And you were just talking about the knockout bet. Well, this is an orthodox versus southpaw matchup, and Joe Holmes is the orthodox fighter. So, we could be seeing some heavy kicks and some heavy right hands from Holmes and some heavy left kicks and a heavy left hand from Barnes. So, there could be some violence here. And the fight doesn't go to decision line is absolutely reflecting that. And when we look at the career numbers, Shante Barnes has been in the game for a little over 5 years, while for Joe Holmes, he had his pro debut about 2.5 years ago. So he's been in the game half the time, but he's still got 6 fights in comparison to Barnes' 8. Both of these guys have 100% finish rates, and Shante Barnes has been finishing his only loss. Joe Holmes was not finished in his only loss, and Shante Barnes also went to draw once. But when we look at the average record of a Shante Barnes opponent, we're talking 5.38 wins and 20.88 losses, with a 0.26 win-to-loss ratio of his opponents, while Joe Holmes is fighting guys with winning records on the aggregate, 1.38 win-loss ratio, and his wins, he has a 1.23 ratio, beating guys with an average record of 3.2 and 2.6. And if we look at the individual wins here for Holmes, we'll see guys: Dwayne Diggs 3-3, Tover 0-1, Leninger 6-2, Tyler Jones 6-10, and Kona Oliveira 1-2. And the guy that beat him was Jordan Newman, 3-0 guy. I think is a Rufus Sport fighter as well. So that's his only loss. But then if we look at his opponent, when we look at the names on there, we got Eric Lozano, 12-18 record. Congratulations to Jay Ellis. He may have set the record for being the biggest fucking can on the face of the planet, as he has 15 wins, Narco Cop, and 100 losses. 100 losses. Okay, this guy has fucking fought 115 times and he has 100 losses. That's the second most recent win for him. And then you got a 1-6 opponent behind that, a 4-20 opponent behind that, a 3-16 opponent behind that, and an 0-2 opponent behind that. So he's never once beaten somebody with a winning record. Not only that, if you sum up the records of the guys that he has beaten, 35 wins and 162 losses. So this guy is the absolute definition of a can crusher. And when he and he even lost to a guy with a 3-6 record and drew a guy. The only winning fighter he's ever fought was Adam David Mays, who has a 6-5 record, and he only drew to him. Plus that, if we talk about Shante here, he fought most of his career at 170 pounds. It wasn't up until 2019 that he moved up to 175. Then the fight against the dude with 100 losses came at 185 pounds. Then he just most recently made his debut at 205. So yeah, he's going to be the much smaller dude here too. So yeah, it does look like everything that the numbers are telling me is that this guy Barnes is probably going to get his ass shaved out there.
What I will say is I believe this fight is being fought at 185. It's not 205. You're on mute, Uncle Weezy.
That's not what Tapology
but
says.
I watched the weigh-ins. It's 185.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This fight is at 185. Also, Holmes has fought at 172, but he's a huge. Guy is a monster for 170. So, what another stat I will throw at you at Ellis, which is also incredible, is 28 straight losses, all in the first round. I don't know if you can do that, but that's pretty hard to do. But enough picking on the poor guy Ellis. The guy's out there fighting. We're sitting at home and we're talking shit about him. We shouldn't be. I'm sorry, Mr. Ellis, if you ever watch this. We're going to move to Liam. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I had actually written in my notes that Ellis was on a 17-fight losing streak going into that win. For our man Shante Barnes, so not really that credible of a win, and it does fit the general theme that he's mostly a can crusher, unfortunately, and I'm always worried about those kind of fighters that they're not going to have the resiliency that they need, especially against somebody who's so hungry on the other side. And I think that we've got a younger, hungrier fighter. The guy that he lost to is undefeated. Hasn't lost yet and just had a win pretty recently. So I don't think that that's the worst loss that you could take. And meanwhile, like Narco had mentioned, staying relatively active, fought pretty recently. So I don't know, man. I feel like there's a lot more to like on that side. I did parlay him up with somebody that we're going to talk about later on the card, and just for small exposure, 1 unit on it. So, I just liked everything that I saw from a physical standpoint. From a tail of the tape perspective, it's everything that I want on one side. And so I think that the market's smart to this fight. I think he's going to close an even bigger favorite than I lined him up as. So I'm happy to take that small exposure, and we'll see how it goes. I think it's probably just a levels fight, and the UFC is probably using this as a showcase for somebody they'd rather promote. So in that kind of spot, I want to be on the big favorite and not the dog that probably doesn't have much of a chance. But we'll have to wait and see.
Totally agree. Parlay piece is fine with Holmes. One thing that we always look at as guys that are capping these fights, like, it's a red flag when you're constantly fighting guys that with these terrible, terrible records. It just makes me think that you're trying to pad your stats, trying to pad your wins, but not you're not going to get any better fighting these guys. That it doesn't, there's no question marks answered when you're fighting a guy that's 15-100, in your 7th fight. There's, it's a gimme. To me, it's just a gimme, and you're trying to improve your record.
It's at the appropriately named Showcase MMA.
Yeah. Showcase MMA. So, but, you made some good points. The loss, I want to say, the loss to Jordan Newman. I mean, Jordan Newman is a really high level wrestler. Guy was a D3. I think he was a D3 champion in wrestling. He's a really, really high level wrestler. You could see it in a fight. That's all he did in that fight. He threw punches to land takedowns. Really good wrestler. But
I actually think I was in the building when he won his national title. Funny enough.
So you were there. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's a national champion. The guy's a really good wrestler. And the fact that you go back and watch, Joseph Holmes did not just lay on his back in that fight. He constantly got up against a very good grappler, in D3, champion. So, the guy, I don't think Shante Barnes is going to use any wrestling. There's not going to be any wrestling here. If anybody's going to wrestle, it's going to be Holmes. But I honestly think Holmes is just better everywhere in this fight. And yeah, like Liam said, you want to use it in parlays, hey, go at it, Let me go a little to this chat and see what's up. Shout out to people here. Mushroom, what's up? Parlay for Pots. He's talking to Parlay for Pots. Bruce Bob Trotter, we definitely going to stop letting dudes walk out of the cage weeping. That's some unacceptable beta shit there. Should be a rule. If you're going to walk to the cage crying, fight is called off. Oh, he's talking about what fight was it in the UFC this week? The guy was weeping. You're on mute.
I would have been laughing, but I don't know. I didn't see that.
A guy, there was walking into the cage. I can't remember which fight it was in the UFC. The guy was actually weeping prior to the fight. Barnes was here to showcase Brundage. Yeah, actually, that's true. I forgot about that. That is true. Because Holmes is kind of like a late second replacement, right? What's up, Chance? They're talking Joseph Holmes by submission. Barnes lost on the bottom. Holmes sub game is pretty decent. I also talked to Alden Correa, who trains with Holmes, and he really likes Holmes there. Tailor-made matchup for him. Yeah, I think it's a layup for him, to be honest. The guy came from LFA. He had a fight in LFA, and they're kind of giving him a layup here. Barnes trash. Yeah, Prodigy. He is trash, man. He probably is. 100% Prodigy. Tomato can waiting for the under. Yeah, I mean, the under, it probably a good bet here, right? Tim J. Ellis, legend of the game. He is a legend. Hunter Ross is resilient. Narco versus Ellis. Yeah, he probably beat me up. I only have hands. I don't have much of a BJJ game. I boxed for a while, but that was it. Nobody beats Ellis 18 times in a row. Think about Anthony Smith. Was it Anthony Smith? Liam, you got something to say? Go ahead.
He cashed me an inside the distance. Anthony Smith, I think, to win by submission. A couple nice tickets the other week, and the fight not to start round 3, among other things.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anthony Smith.
Anthony Smith did well there. Yep. Holmes minus 450 is probably going to be value. Yeah, I mean, you're probably right, Chance. Holmes fought hard that fight. Yeah, I mean, he fought very hard that fight. I think you're talking about the first fight of his career, his first loss to Newman. Yeah, man, he fought very hard that fight. Most in-depth details and breakdowns I've ever heard, dudes. Thank you, man. Thank you very much, Mushroom. Ass shave that like button. Thank you. Just like he said, ass shave that like button there. And subscribe to the channel. Cowboy cried. Okay, that's who it was. Oliveira. That's who cried walking into the ring. That's right, Tim. Yeah, but enough of that fight. We will move on here to our next fight. It's Joshua Weems going up against Fernie Garcia. What I will mention before we even go on, Joshua Weems missed weight. He weighed in at 139 pounds, so he missed by 3 pounds. We will kick it off to Mr. Uncle Weezy here. Give us some stats here.
You got it, man. All right. So we've got Weems is going to be 2 years younger, 1 inch taller, and has the 2-inch reach advantage here. If we look at the experience stats, the identical number of fights, the identical record, but we got Fernando Garcia's got about twice as much cage time, and that's because Weems's fights have an average time of less than 5 minutes, while Fernando Garcia's fight time is about 11.9 minutes. So we see Weems has got a 78% finish rate, while Garcia only a 33% finish rate, and that Weems has been knocked out in his only loss. Going over to the strength of schedule stats, it looks like Garcia's fighting the more experienced competition, but both of these guys are fighting guys exclusively with losing records, pretty much, except for when they lose. Then they've got guys with winning records. So it's actually pretty close on paper, but what we do see is that Garcia is way more likely to win by decision, as about 2/3 of his wins have come by decision, while Weems, it's 7 out of 9 wins that have come inside the distance. So only 2 of his wins are by decision, and he's been finishing his only loss. So it does look like it depends on who's going to win here. If Weems wins, it probably ends inside the distance. If Garcia wins, it probably goes to decision, but I want to see a little bit more on the strength of schedule here. So let me just kind of run through that here real quick and see if there are any signature wins for either of these guys. The most recent wins for Mr. Garcia are the last 3 guys got winning records. That's Isaiah Gonzalez, Ryan Hayes, and Jay Viola. 4-2, 9-7, and 3-2 records. The only guy who beat him was Cody Freeman, 7-4 record. And then everybody before that is guys with losing records. And, but that's usually what you see from guys that are just starting off. They're going to be starting guys, either with very little experience or guys with losing records. And if we go up here to Weems, we're going to see a lot of very fast fights. His most recent fight against Isaac Ruelas went to decision, but I think there was a special rules fight or something like that. And then we got Tyson Duckworth, 6-7, Jewel Scott, 4-4, Jeremy Rogers, 0-11, Cam Miller, 4-3, Mosley, 1-5, Childers, 2-3, Powell, 1-2. A guy with a winning record is his only loss. That's Chris Ocon at 5-2. And then an 0-1 guy. So, yeah, not much really to sink your teeth into in terms of stats for this one. What do you guys got in terms of tape?
Liam, what do you have there, buddy?
Absolutely. So on the Fernie Garcia side, it strikes me. I think when I mentioned boxing heavy before, I was actually thinking of Fernie Garcia, obviously the leg kicks on the other side. But Fernie Garcia, very boxing heavy approach. This was the last tape that I was watching before we came on. And, what concerns me a little bit is like the willingness to get hit, the inability to deal with leg kicks. Or, I would say he soldiers through them. Like, he's obviously a very tough guy, but he takes a lot of leg kicks. He doesn't seem to check very many of them. He's got a very bladed stance, which leaves him open to getting kicked a lot. And he's constantly advancing on people. So, it's very predictable where he's going to be stepping. He wants to box, right? And it's like the Calvin Cater effect. When somebody wants to box with you all the time, you can sort of get a read on the fact that they're going to step forward. You can't box without stepping forward. So that I think that there's a lot of interesting nuggets in this fight. Weems, for me, it's a little tough to get a read on the guy. All things considered, his level of competition is horrible. I think the total record that I put together was 22-28, 44% win percentage. I always find it harder to grade somebody when they're going up against really tough level of competition. And when it comes to Fernie, I think he's probably going to win a lot of striking minutes in this spot if it gets extended. But I also think that he's just a little hittable for my liking, especially at the price tag. Let me look and see what he's at right now. Minus 250 is the best market price, and that seems to be pretty consistent across the board. I will say that a lot of people I've seen that are pretty sharper on the Fernie side here for whatever that's worth. But with that being said, I don't have any action on this fight at this time. I think Fernie's probably going to win. I think he should probably be a slight favorite. I don't know that this line is necessarily justified, but I want to look a little bit deeper into the grappling on the Weems side before I make a final verdict on this one.
Nice. All right, I'll start on the Weems side here. I know the guy, he trains out of Black Sails MMA and Killer Bee Jiu-Jitsu. I guess it's like a cross gym. I guess it's like two gyms in one or something. The gym is better known for, like, the head trainer is better known. He's a boxing guy. So the guy was a boxer for 10 years. So it's mainly a boxing gym. But when you go back and look and see what Weems does, it's like submission. I think he's won his last 6 fights by sub, not counting the bare knuckle fighting. That's what you were referring to, Uncle Weezy, his last bout. It's in the game bred fighting thing. It's bare knuckle. It's also like they do ground game too in that. It's a little bit of both. But yeah, it's one of those split rules type of fighting. But I kind of dug pretty deep on this fight. The guy's done bare knuckle boxing. The guy's 1-1 in boxing. So the guy's literally wants to. You listen to his interview. All he says is, "I just want to fight." The guy wants to fight. He's a late replacement for this fight. I want to say that. I think it's like a week and a half notice. But he was preparing for a fight that he had scheduled for October 9th. So technically it's late replacement, but he was already training to fight October 9th. He's coming down in weight. So he's a natural 145er. He's coming down to 135, which probably has a lot to do why he missed weight. He weighed in at 139. The dude has a grappling background, but he's really, really wild in the ring. You go watch him spinning stuff, wild punches. The other thing that Liam said, he has fought very low-level opposition. Go back and see. Even though that record, some of those guys that he beat are deceiving. They're not good at all. He's only been to decision one time in 9 fights. I'll say that. So he's pretty much a finisher. When he's on bottom, because he's been on bottom a lot, the guy hunts for subs all the time. Whether it be, triangle, whether it be arm bars. He's going for it from bottom. He's not just laying there on his back. The other thing with him is he is very hittable on tape. Like his standing game, he's really hittable. He got actually rocked really bad in the fight against, let me go back and look, against Jules Scott, who's 5-5, not a really good fighter. He got rocked really bad in that fight 2 different times, was flat on his back. And then you could see like Jules Scott is not much of a grappler at all. So he eventually got him he got a sub off of him there. But like, that's concerning when a guy 5-5 that's not really good. You watch the tape. Jules Scott, knocked him down once, hurt him another time. Then I'll go, and I'll fixate on the Fernie Garcia side. The guy is okay. What Liam said is completely correct. The guy is very hittable. You know why? Because the guy, all he does is march forward like a zombie, wanting to land punches on you. That's all he wants. He wants to catch you. And I'll say one thing, Uncle Weezy, you mentioned that the guy is, a lot of decision wins, and you're completely accurate with that. But the guy throws very hard when you watch his tape, man. He's throwing big punches. He had some of these guys multiple times hurt really bad, just didn't finish them for whatever reason. Maybe they were really tough. You go watch that Isaac Baton Gonzalez fight. What a fucking war, back and forth, killing each other. He's got a granite chin, dude. I'll tell you that. One thing about Garcia, he is absolutely granite chin. He got leveled by Gonzalez numerous times, took it like nothing, kept coming forward. He's got a really good boxing background, really good jab. He's got actually good timing on his takedowns when he wants to use them. And I saw that. He has really good timing on his takedowns. He's fighting out of Fortis MMA, so we got to give him that. When he said in an interview, he said when Fortis first opened up, he was one of the first guys in that gym. So he's been fighting out of Fortis for a long time. He's definitely got to be improving. He has a wrestling background in high school. I guess he was a high school wrestler. So you go back and watch the Freeman fight, the fight that I think it was Cody Freeman, the fight he lost split decision. Cody Freeman's actually, a good fighter. You go back and watch that tape. Guy's a really good wrestler, actually. And in that fight against a really good wrestler, multiple takedowns from Fernie Garcia. So his wrestling is pretty good. His timing is pretty good. He's a well-rounded fighter. He's good on the ground, good striking, very, very good cardio. I'll say that. All of his fights are very high pace because he's constantly bringing the pressure. He cuts off the ring really well. He's throwing a lot of combinations. The one thing I'll say is a lot of his punches are looping punches, and he just doesn't. I think one of the reasons why he's not getting a lot of KOs is because he's not turning over his punches. He's basically looping them or slapping them instead of turning them over and, really putting the pop in them. So that might be an issue. But again, a lot of those guys he had really hurt in those fights where he, it went to decision. So for me, watching what I saw from Fernie Garcia, I think he's the much better fighter. I think he's the better fighter, might be the better fighter everywhere, including the ground game. The guy is really versed everywhere, but I think he's going to keep this standing. The other thing I'll say with Weems is that I don't see much wrestling from this guy. This guy, how is he going to, if he does implement this ground game, how is he going to get it there versus Garcia? Because Garcia has good takedown defense. And the guy is just, I think he's going to put it on him. The pressure is going to be too much. I think this is also a spot that they're giving basically a layup to Garcia here. He's a Fortis MMA guy. I think they're giving him a layup. I honestly think that Garcia might actually finish this fight. And to give me at plus 700, I like that line, plus 700 for half a unit. I think Garcia goes for it. That's one thing I like. He knows this is the Dana White's Contender Series. I know he's going to go for it here. And I think you're giving me a large number at plus 700 in a guy that, had a lot of guys hurt in his fight. So, and this is a step down for him. That I'll say, because you go back and watch, again, Baton Gonzalez, pretty good fighter. Cody Freeman, good fighter. So this guy's a step down for him. I think I like the KO number here. I also like him in parlays. For that price tag at minus 250, I have him in a parlay. That's my take on this. Liam, did you have anything else to say? I know you kind of wanted to say something.
Absolutely, man. It was so funny. This man Chance, who I go back and forth with a lot, he's a smart guy, but Chance literally took the words out of my mouth. I went over, I looked at the betting slate, and I was like, man, fight doesn't go the distance at plus 135. That seems kind of appealing to me. I see him throw it in the chat. And then I'm like, man, plus 450, Weems by submission. Basically all all his win condition is predicated on that sub in this fight in all likelihood. Even if he clubs him, he's probably going to go for the sub as opposed to following up with ground shots, you would think. So it's like,
yeah, but I'll say one thing. Fernie is very versed down there. I know you don't see it a lot. Trust me, he's very versed down there. I saw him in a couple of those fights where he's just knows what he's doing down there. He just doesn't use it because he has that boxing background, right? And like I said, he's been at Fortis from day one. So he's training everything with really high-level guys. He said he does a lot of wrestling with Miles Johns. I heard that. He does it, he's got some really good partners there. So, maybe I'm misjudging Weems. I didn't like what I saw in some of his fights. It wasn't, it's against low-level opposition. And if I'm seeing that against low-level opposition, I don't want to see what's going to happen against Fernie Garcia, who's not low-level to me. Other than the one flaw that I will say, he gets hit way too often, leg kicks way too often. But I didn't see that from Weems. He doesn't throw a lot of leg kicks. So I don't know what to really, I can't really gauge that all of a sudden Weems is going to start throwing a bunch of leg kicks because I don't think he will. Let me go to the chat a little. I know it's getting Carboy, we went that. I'll say Holmes and Gutierrez parlay this weekend will not lose. Oh, Gutierrez in the UFC. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that. Gutierrez should win fairly comfortably. Does anyone know what belt ranking Garcia has in jiu-jitsu? I actually don't know. Do you guys know? I didn't see anything on his actual belt. I just know from tape that he's really versed down there, and that's what I know. Correa's thick. Weems is live. I don't know, Tim. I honestly don't think he's live, but I mean, in MMA, anybody's live, but I really don't like his chances here. Danny's also liking the dog. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. No one knows me. I follow him, but did 1,000%. Oh, look at that. He's giving you a shout out. Dalton, I believe Garcia.
Thank you, Danny.
Down without much of an issue. The problem is Weems has a creative guard and have seen much tape of Garcia challenge with jiu-jitsu. I mean, there is some tape out there with him being challenged with jiu-jitsu. He's just really good down there. And what he does is another thing is he doesn't stay down there. When he just kind of moves position, he just stands up. He likes to stand up so much. So, but I do agree. Weems does have a good, from his guard, he does throw up a lot of submissions. I just think Garcia is going to he's going to see everything that he's going to throw. He sees it in freaking training every day, probably. Plus 200 live. I agree and I do. Everybody's on this. Weems, wow. Like the Weems side, jiu-jitsu. Fight feels like a live puff pass. Hey, if you feel like if it's a puff pass, then that's what you got to do. I had to step away, but I'm back. Weems by sub is live as fuck. I don't think it's as live as you think, but you might be right. Weems so hittable, but bust throw hard. Weems plus 200 doesn't make much sense here, in my opinion. Weems is game. Weems can make it dirty, not technical style fight. Everybody is on Weems here. Liam, they're on your boat, man. Fernie should win by decision, but give me plus 210 here. Valdez, Malott, Barreau. Oh, thank me later. All right, let's move on. We'll go through the chat later because we're long-winded in this chat here, but I like it. I like this chat. It's live. Let's move on to the next fight. We have the fourth fight, Daniel Perez, I think, which this is probably going to be the best fight of the night, against Carlos Hernandez. Go ahead, Liam.
Sure, man. So this is a fight that I don't have any action on. I obviously I think that this is going to be an interesting fight. I think it's going to be a fun one. I liked, I was able to watch more tape on the Perez side, full disclosure. So I kind of like what I see from Perez. I thought that it's been interesting line movement on this fight as well, because Perez opened up plus 155, and now he is, I think it's actually been a complete flip. He's minus 115, best available. And so, it looks like a lot of people saw what I saw as well, but, am I as inclined to play him as a favorite in the spot? Not necessarily. He is the older guy, something I really am always concerned about backing, but I do think his experience is going to make the difference in the spot. I think he's fought better fighters. I think that he's probably just going to be able to push an experience edge here. I think he's going to win minutes in the spot. So, I'm probably going to end up on the Perez side in terms of a pick. I don't know that I'm going to end up getting to the betting window on this fight. Although I do see that he's minus 115 on DraftKings, which is a book I do have access to. So I'll at least consider that line, but I would have to see more on the Hernandez side before I make an official play there.
All right. I mean, that's a smart move, honestly. I watched tape on this substantially too. I'm going to start off on the Perez side. Very experienced guy, combat sambo background, brown belt in BJJ, so he's well versed everywhere. And you see it on his tape. Really good striking. I like his striking. You know, his last fight, you know, you go back and look and you see it says split decision. I don't know how the hell that was split decision. He won that fight clearly, you know, 2-1. But I will say, you know, the guy on the ground, he attacks submissions when he's on the ground. Really good cardio. 6 wins in a row. The only thing is, guy's been off for 2 years. For whatever reason it may be, I don't know. He has been off for 2 years. His last fight was in December of 2019 against Joe Camilo in Combate. But then, you know, I've watched some other tape on him against Andy Young. Sorry. He did not really look good in that fight. That fight was a 50-50 fight. Majority decision, he won. Could have gone either way. But, you know, the guy is a good fighter. He's talented. But going over on the Hernandez side, yeah, I agree with Liam. He is the less experienced guy. The guy fights out of Mike Valley's academy in Illinois over here. He's a local guy. Likes to throw a lot of kicks on his tape. He has a good one too. He feints a lot, which I really like. When he's throwing hands, he does a lot of feints. Very good footwork. I'll say that he has really good footwork. But one other thing. Both these guys are IMMAF champions. Both the guys in the amateurs, they're both champions, world champions. What I will say is with Carlos Hernandez, you go back and look, and the strength of the schedule, yeah, it's not that appealing. Trevor Wells is actually a good fighter, but the rest of the guys are Hoosier Fight Club guys, very low level in Indiana type of promotion. I know it. It's always at the Horseshoe Casino, very low level fighters, not good at all. But go back to the amateurs. This guy has a lot of amateur fights. This guy has beat Jose Johnson, who's a veteran, good fighter, not UFC, sorry, but good fighter. He's beat Charles Johnson. I don't know if you guys know him. He's an LFA veteran. He's right on the verge of getting to the UFC. Very, very good fighter. And he beat both those guys. He submitted, I believe, both those guys. Actually, sorry, he didn't submit Charles Johnson. He just submitted Jose Johnson. But what I'm trying to say is this guy has actually fought good competition in the amateurs. He has a lot of experience in the amateurs. Even though he has 7 fights in the pros, he's got a ton of amateur fights. You know, he's been, you know, not fairly active lately. He had a year off for whatever reason. But, you know, this guy has really good footwork in the ring. He was some kind of soccer star, I guess. He had a big scholarship. I don't know, for whatever reason he left it or didn't take it, pursued MMA. But, you know, the guy, he's a good fighter. You know, the one loss, you go back and watch that Gustavo Ballart fight, his first fight. He fought Olympian Greco-Roman wrestler. And you go back and watch it. It's extremely hard to fight. And the guy he fought is like 4'11". You go watch the fight. I don't even think that guy is 4'11". The guy's like probably 4'8" or something. Really tiny guy. So it's really easy to get on your hips, on your waist. The guy's constantly getting there, constantly taking up. But what he did show me is big heart, constantly getting up, very good cardio. So I honestly think, you know, this fight is a lot closer than what I see on Twitter. And it seems like everybody's on Perez. And I disagree. This fight is really close. And I'm going to stay away. Even though I like Perez. I like Perez's game a lot. But like Liam said, he's staying away. And I think I'm staying away from this fight because it's a dangerous fight because Carlos Hernandez has a lot of experience, guys. Don't look at his pro record. Guys, IMMAF world champion, just like Perez is. And he's fought good guys in the amateurs. So for me, it's a stay away fight. I want to look at the, you know, fight goes to decision because I think both guys are extremely durable. that's not a bad look. Fight goes to decision right now is minus 150, 155. It's kind of juiced. I might not even play that, honestly. But, it's not a bad look because both guys are very durable. For now, I am staying away from this fight. Got anything to add, boys?
I was just going to go through the stats real quick here. I mean, we've got some Zawicka, Maya, Kopp, and Salander are the 4 losses here. For Perez, these are really good losses. I mean, you add up these guys' 4 records, and it's 55-24. So the guys he's losing to are no joke. On the aggregate, the guys that he's beaten have just slightly losing record, but they're experienced fighters. And the guys that Hernandez has beaten, 9-18 record, and then the loss to Malott, who has a 9-4 record overall. But if I go to my little notes here, Hernandez is younger, he's taller, and he has a 1-inch reach advantage, and it's Perez who's going to have the experience advantage, having twice as many fights, twice as much cage time, twice as much time as a pro here. So can Hernandez make up that experience gap? We'll have to wait and see. And if we look at it on the aggregate here, it's Perez who's fighting the better win-loss competition and the way more experienced competition. So, yeah, this one appears to be very close because Hernandez does seem to be a very capable fighter. The UFC needs flyweights, so it's going to be interesting to see how this one shakes out.
All right. Let's go. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, not a worry at all. The only thing I was going to add just to bolster your point on that fight was that I had written that down in my notes as well. Forgot to mention it. 13-2 as an amateur against 26-22 competition. So fought amateurs with winning records and has also beaten pros with winning records. So just something to keep in mind. Granted, the pros he's been fighting have small amounts of experience themselves, but still, I think that, this guy has probably a lot more upside potential than 6-1 would indicate. And you have to account for people that are going to wiki cap this fight and just look and see, 6-1, big experience gap. Yeah, there's an experience gap, but also an age gap and also some other factors to consider as well. So just something to keep in mind before you get a ton of exposure on this fight. I think if you want to back either side, there's things to like either way, but I would just keep your exposure a little bit limited in this spot because it seems like a fight that's probably going to go to decision more often than not, probably going to be pretty tightly contested for minutes. So it's like, don't get out over your skis trying to be Nostradamus if the read's not there, would be my only warning,
Totally agree. I think this is going to be a really close fight, which is why I started off by saying I think this is going to be the best fight of the card. I think, Perez, for looking at his tape, he might be maybe the best prospect on this card as far as UFC being UFC ready, because his striking is really good, his ground game is really good. So he's probably the best guy on this card, like well-rounded guy, right? Defensively, he's decent. The only thing is, someone mentioned here, this is a concern. He does get taken down a lot. You see it on his tape. But he's active. He's got an active guard. He does try to stand up. His get-ups are decent. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I haven't seen a ton of urgency out of Diggins, but he doesn't just lay there. So he's either hunting for subs or he's trying to get up, So that's what I saw. Both these guys are UFC caliber. I agree. I think Hernandez maybe needs a little bit more, but yeah, I think they are. So Perez at 115. Hernandez by self plus 335 live-ish. I didn't look at that. I don't know. I know he has some submissions. Do you guys know what kind of is he a brown belt, a purple belt? What is I didn't see anything on Carlos Hernandez unless someone in chat knows. You could hit us up over there in chat, but I'm not sure what kind of BJJ guy he is, but he does have some missions. But I do know Perez is very versed on the ground, so I wouldn't count on a sub here, honestly. But if you want to take a poke and you think you saw something that Hernandez can exploit, then hey, have at it. 22 of us 22 in here, 21 now, but thank you for everybody being in here. Please hit the like, please hit subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to Liam's channel also, please. The guy has great content. Uncle Weezy always is on that Pub Sports Radio, constantly giving you stat diggers, all these other good ones. I mean, these guys are awesome, man. Giving you a lot of content. Thank you to both of them for being here. Thank you to all the chat being here. Again, I always say this, without the chat, without the people in here, we wouldn't even be probably doing these videos, right? Without them, they're the fuel to the fire, right? We will move on to the last fight of the night, the main event, the fight that I have the most action on here. It's Shimon Smoltrisky from Israel going up against Mike Malott. I can start this one off here. Let me look at my notes real quick. I have a bunch of notes actually on this fight because this is the fight I actually have a nice size bet on. I'm going to start off with Smoltrisky. Guy's training camp. This training camp, I know he did at Syndicate. The guy's from Israel. He's an Israeli-based fighter. He fights from there. But this specific camp, I know he did at Syndicate. He's got good kicks. He's got a really good kicking game, switches stances. He defends takedowns okay up against the fence. I noticed that when he's up against the fence, he knows how to defend takedowns. Nice inside trips for takedowns. He does that a lot. He gets that body lock, and then he likes to do that inside trip takedown. So I like that from him. He seems to slow down in fights, though. You watch the tape. His gas tank doesn't seem to be that good. On the ground, he's been reversed many times. I saw that reversal on tape many times. He's fought very low-level opponents. Again, the guy is 7-0, but, you know, you go watch. And the Matan Levy fight, you go watch it. It's a Bellator fight. Matan Levy was 3-1 at the time. You know, it was a good scrap. It's not like he won that fight easy. Really good fight. Before that, you know, he's fighting a guy that's, you know, 0-2, 0-1, 0-0, you know. I get it. He's a new guy. Guy's only 21 years old, so he's really young. So he's green. He fought a guy in Ilya Gledky that's 4-4 currently, but at the time when he fought him, he was 3-0. You know, the last fight, you know, the fight against Sergey Yasovevich, split decision. You know, honestly, man, that fight could have went either way, and the, you know, that Russian might have actually won that fight, to be honest. And, you know, it wasn't a good look. Like, he pretty much did well in the first round. And then, you know, I don't know if he got tired, his gas tank, you know, the Russians started taking over, and he actually took over in the third round. So it was a really close fight. You know, split decision. It wasn't a great look for him. Then I want to go to the Malott side. You know, the guy is training out of Team Alpha Male. But the guy was strictly an actual coach. He's a coach, right? He's a coach, and then all of a sudden decided, you know what? I have this fire again. I want to fight again. And, you know, I have a good friend, you know, in that Canada scene that kind of let me know that this guy Malott, when he was in Canada fighting, nobody wanted to fight him. Nobody out in Canada wanted to fight him. We see his fights. He's fought, you know, really good guys, Hakeem Duwaru. You go back and watch that fight. He hit Duwaru with a lot of good punches, had him bleeding from the mouth. Duwaru obviously peppered him himself. Eventually got him out of there. But you know, his chin. You know, we talk about his chin, and he looks like it's bad. It's not that bad, man. Duwaru caught him with numerous huge punches until he finally got him out of there. So yeah, he doesn't react to punches really, really well. But you're talking about UFC caliber fighter that throws heat. You know. Then you go to his last fight, the fight that he won against Solomon Renfro. Yeah, he won that fight, but he was absolutely getting tattooed by Solomon Renfro on the feet, right? But Renfro, we know, and I don't know, you know, I know Renfro because I've watched his previous fights. The guy throws big power, guys. This guy throws huge power, landed a lot of big punches. Malott wasn't reacting well to him, but he took him, right? He didn't floor him with him. And eventually, when Solomon Renfro was going to throw a punch, Malott caught him with a straight right and decked him, had him wobbled. And guess what? The first thing he did was jump on that neck, because honestly, the guy has a really, really high level ground game. He's a BJJ black belt, very, very good on the ground. One thing that worries me, the guy hasn't been really active. And again, that goes back to the fact that he is actually a coach. He's been a coach for a while, but he had that reinvigoration to fight again. He had that fire pump out again, which to me is a little scary, right? When guys don't have the fire to fight and all of a sudden have the fire to fight. But, I just like what I see from this guy. His defensively, striking wise, is not good. I'm not happy with how he defends strike, but go back and see Smoltrisky. He doesn't have a lot of power. I don't see a lot of pop in his punches. He's more of a kicking guy. He has that, that kickboxing type of fighter. I don't think his hands are all that good. The other thing with Malott I have to mention is this guy fought at 145 before. So now he's jumping up to 170. He did fight in his last fight against Renfro at 170, but he doesn't move his head very well. I can go on and on about how he's very hittable, which he is. But the problem with Smoltrisky is I don't think he's going to, have all that much on the feet to offer to have Malott in trouble with his hands or anything. I actually might think Malott might hurt him on the feet with his hands because Malott does throw with power. So the thing is, if he gets this to the ground, it's going to be his world. And I think he is going to be able to get to this ground. I like Malott in the spot. I like Malott better everywhere, to be honest. His only flaw is that defensive striking. He's not good. He gets hit. But again, he's fighting high-level guys, guys that are much better than Shimon is. You're talking about Duwadu. You're talking about Renfro that has insane power. And I think you're going to see Solomon Renfro in the UFC pretty soon. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's on a Dana White Contender Series card coming up. So, I have Malott at minus 160. I have 3.2 units on him. I think he is the play here. I think that line is still short. Currently, it's at minus 180. It was sitting at minus 156 earlier on FanDuel. It's up to 178. I am pretty confident this line's going to go over 200 by fight time. Kick it off to you, Uncle Weezy. What do you have on stats for this fight?
Yeah, man. All right, let me get them up here for you. So the big difference here in the measurables is going to be that, Smoltrisky is 21. I mean, so he's just getting started. While this guy Malott's been around the game over 10 years, an over 10-year career for Malott. And the size is actually pretty much the same. Smoltrisky is going to be an inch taller. The reach is identical. They're both orthodox fighters, but then you got one guy training out of Israel, one guy training out of Team Alpha Male. So it looks like one guy's way more experienced in terms of just being around the game longer, but he's only got one more fight than the youngster. But just being around a lot better competition here. We got 100% finish rate by Malott and half by submission, half by KO. So we know that the guy is versatile. And Smoltrisky's got a few decisions on his record already, 43% knockout rate, 14% submission rate. But, when we see the strength of schedule, that's the big difference. Both of these guys are fighting people with winning records, but it's the experienced competition for Malott, as the average guy that he's fighting has got a 6.4 and 3.1 record, while for Smoltrisky it's 3 and 1.5, and that's because he's just kind of fought a couple of high volume, low level dudes. And I'll kind of break down the record for you here. While we see Malott out there fighting guys like Solomon Renfro, Shintani, Dawoodu, Diange, Imperato, we've got a 34 and 21 record in his wins. So that's something we don't see a lot of out of guys that only have 6 wins. Is usually the first 3 or 4 of those wins are against guys with no wins, 1 win, low level guys. But this guy's coming in fighting, 2 and 4, 9 and 4, 4 and 6, 2 and 2, and then some really impressive wins. A loss to Dawoodu where he was looking good early, so it looks like there's a big level of competition here. There's a big training partner difference here. And there's a big experience gap to be made up here. How much can we think Smoltrisky is going to be able to deal with the experience when he's only 21 years old himself? And like you said, fighting some lower level competition. I'll go through the records for you guys here. 0-1 Ganon, 0-2 Koncevich, 1-2 Aronov, 0-2 Levy, 3-1 Levy Matan, 4-3 Ilya Gladkey, and then a 13-7 Sergey Yakovets. And, 3 of these 7 fights have went to decision against some of these lower level opponents. So it does look like Malott's going to have a big strength of schedule advantage here. Like you said, he's versatile. He's good on the ground, and if he gets it there, he'll probably have a really good shot to finish this. You guys, I got to get back. I got the rest of the people waiting for me here. I appreciate you having me on. Liam, it was good chopping it up with you. Narco Cop, we got to do this more often. Thank you to everybody in the chat that's been hanging out with us the whole hour and 20 minutes here. I got to get back to my vacation, but it's been great hanging out with you guys. I've already got I've tracked a couple of, I've tailed a couple of your bets on this one, Narco Cop, and I'm going to be looking at that sub bet that you gave us, Liam.
Cheers,
all right.
Weezy. Enjoy that vacation.
I will. You guys take care. Have a great night.
Thanks for being here. Thank you for joining.
You got it,
us.
man. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, take care.
All right,
You got it.
All right, Liam. Are you with me or against me?
I am going to end up with you here. And, the only thing I'm going to point out is I just want to shout out Billy from the chat. You put it on the screen, the line movement, something, a couple of interesting things to note about the line movement here. Number one, Smoltrisky opened up -140 on the average fight odds, according to bestfightodds.com. And that's probably because of the age. And, the books don't really invest a ton of time into figuring out what they're going to put as the price here, right? So the market actually sets, what makes sense for a lot of these betting lines. Now, that being said, I think that the age gap, I always like to look for age gaps as something that I want to, back financially, the younger fighter. But that almost goes in reverse for me when I see somebody who's younger than I am. And they're going to be out there in this cage fight. I'm like, gee, what would I be thinking? And everybody's a little different, but I do compete in combat sports. I enjoy competition, but the prospect of fighting, the lifestyle that it takes. I also know that people that commit to coaching oftentimes, are willing to make those kind of lifestyle sacrifices in order to get back to their athletes, right? So I think that Malott's impressed me, all the footage that I've seen, broadly speaking. Again, a concern for me is the hitability. But the hitability, that's kind of what Dana White's Contender Series is. You got to know that there's a reason these guys haven't made it to the UFC yet. And it's because they're almost all unfinished products to one extent or another. And you'd think that he's closer to a finished product. You think he's been making improvements. My real concern about Malott here, and the only reason I didn't go as deep as you did, is because of the deer in headlights when he starts getting hit. That was the only thing that concerned me, is that I felt like I saw that a little bit in the Renfro fight as well. But now to give you a quick anecdote, I went to University of Buffalo for 1 year as well. And for a time, I was working with the club wrestling team there, training when I went to school. And we had a few MMA fighters from Western New York MMA come in to get some wrestling rounds with us as well. And so it was like me, a guy who used to be on the D1 team, a fighter named Sean Felton, who actually lost to Aviv Ghazali, another Israeli fighter in Bellator pretty recently. And he's a buddy of mine. And so I would train with them. And I actually heard Solomon's name initially from Sean, and so I had looked into his career. He trains with Tiger Schulman's. That's actually close to me now locally. So I just have a weird connection to Solomon's career. I follow him on Instagram. I've always been impressed by his skills as well. I think he's going to make waves, and he's around my age as well, about 23 years old. So really impressed with the body of work that he's putting together. And so that's why the Malott win over Renfro was so impressive to me. I don't think a lot of guys are going to get the jump on Solomon and certainly not make it look easy, not get it in the first round. He's a dog, but I think that he got a little bit excited about how easily he was landing, came in a little reckless, got caught, and hey, he's 23. He's going to dust that off easily. I think he's put together 2 wins. He's on the Contender Series. I'm hoping that I'll look at his matchup there and be able to support him financially as well, because I really like the guy. But, just looking at this from a matchup perspective, I think Malott's probably going to be able to take over the fight as it goes on. I'm a little worried about him in those opening exchanges, but kind of like you mentioned, I just don't see the danger factor, the power factor. He's got a couple knockouts. They're not really over credible fighters by my standards from what I'm looking at here. And so I don't really rate the finishing ability, but just to credit what Billy had said about an interesting line, not FanDuel, 5 Dimes is one of the only books on Best Fight Odds that's listing inside the distance props here. And they have Smoltrisky inside the distance plus 175, and his money line is sitting at plus 158. And yet, if you look at the other side, right, you look at the Malott side, he's sitting at a minus 180 favorite, and his inside the distance line is sitting at plus 230. So for me, that just says the book. Why is the book artificially suppressing that inside the distance line on Smoltrisky? That just seemed a little interesting to me, but it's only on 5 Dimes as well. So maybe that's just an anomaly.
It honestly doesn't make sense. That line right there does not make sense to me, where you can get the guy at it says what is he at plus 158 there, and then you're gonna play inside the distance at plus 175. That just doesn't make sense at all. It might be a line that's wrong. It makes absolutely no sense, because like I said, you're getting a plus 158 and now you're going to play him inside the distance at plus 175. Why? Against the guy that you just watch his tape. Like, guy doesn't even throw hard. The only thing I could say is he might find like a head kick, because he does throw a lot of kicks. Might catch him with some kind of crazy, meme head kick or something. But, Malott, like you said, he doesn't react to punches very, very well. But, man, some of those punches that were landed by Renfro, they're going to put a lot of people out, dude. And he, didn't get put out by him, right? He took them pretty decent.
He ate a lot of them and a lot against Hakeem. He did. Yeah. And he never went out against either guy. That's the other thing to remember. He got hit by bomb after bomb, never went out against either guy.
You go watch the Duato fight, and I think Duato might have landed 7 bombs in a row before he finally dropped. Like he landed huge punches on him. So, yeah, his chin, his defense is bad, but I honestly don't think his chin is that bad. Seeing all these punches that he took from Renfro, guys, I'm telling you, whatever, you go back and look at Renfro, I don't think he has a lot of knockouts, but the guy throws it with a lot of power, man. He really does. And you'll see it come when he's fighting Johnny Parsons. I know Johnny Parsons too. I've seen a lot of his fights too. He fights in that Mexico promotion. I can't remember which one it was, but he's fought there a couple times. I think was it the UWC or it was one of them. I can't remember, but yeah, he's fought there. Johnny Parsons also throws big punches too. But he's also a grappler. He wrestles some, but yeah, Malott, I just think I'll have a question mark, and my question mark is his cardio. That's my question mark, just because he hasn't been busy. He hasn't been fighting a lot. I don't know what his cardio is like, because you go back and look, his last fight, it ended in 1 round. The fight before that ended in 1 round. Then you go back 6 years is the fight that he went to decision, majority draw. So I know he has
every fight ended in round 1 except the majority draw. That's in my notes. So that is a concern also.
So that is a concern for me. I know going back and watching Shimon, his last fight, he went 3 rounds. They were a really grapple heavy fight. You go back and watch it, is grappling back and forth. So it took a lot of cardio. But he does slow down in fights. You go watch the Levy fight, he slows down. So his cardio is not that good either. So that's why the concern is not that big for me, based on Malott not having great cardio, if it was to be a problem. But yeah, anything else to add?
I'm trying to think if there was anything else I had on this fight. The one thing is they don't have full props on this, which is annoying me. I'd like to see full props on this.
Over-unders.
Exactly.
We need some over-unders here. You know?
Nothing. But I did end up with action on Malott here. I have 1.65 units on Malott at minus 165. Lock that in with BetMGM. And then I have Malott and Holmes parlayed together at minus 104 total odds, 1.04 units there. So hoping to win a couple units on these guys and trying not to get out over my skis too, not getting too much exposure on these Contender Series events. But I do like a couple of these spots. And, you know, when full props get released, you know, I might end up taking a poke on the inside the distance for Malott, because, you know, the only other thing I was going to mention, it just came back to me, was the fight to win matches that he's had. You know, he's actually done some grappling exclusive matches at the brown belt level. Think he lost a decision to team oh gosh, now I'm butchering it for the camera. There we go. Team Enzo Gracie, brown belt.
Not a bad team to lose to.
Exactly. And honestly, it was a really hard fought match. He was threatening with some of his own leg locks, was able to get out of a few dangerous leg entanglements. So I actually think he's pretty versed on the ground in all positions. And, you know, I think he's a striking coach by trade. So it's like, this guy is legit and going to come in with skills across the board. So I really like, you know, a coach against a 21-year-old. Man, that seems like a setup for me. I really like the way that's going to function. So unless he gets sunned here, you know, I think it's going to be a pretty good spot.
I think the line is probably based a lot off the 7-0 deceiving kind of record. You know, guy's young. He's the younger fighter, the undefeated fighter. But, you know, I will say, you know, he did this camp at Syndicate. So there might be some, you know, a little bit of improvement. I honestly, I think this is Malott's fight to lose. Like, I don't think he should lose this fight. If he does, he should probably go back to coaching.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have 3 bets. I'll go over them. The Malott minus 160, 3.2 units. I got Garcia by KO, TKO at plus 700 for half a unit. And I also have Holmes by KO at plus 650 for 0.33 units. This is honestly a really tough card to, you know, bet on, just because of the wide lines. There's so many question marks on these fighters. I think this is probably the lowest level of fighters in all of the Dana White's Contender Series cards this year. I just don't like the talent that much. Outside of Perez, you know, I like Perez's game. I like Hernandez's game. You know, Fernie Garcia is okay. But outside of that, even Gennaro Valdez, I don't really like his game. Joseph Holmes is mad to me. I don't think he's UFC ready. And again, you know, Malott, too hittable, not good for the UFC. You know, I just don't think those guys are UFC caliber. So, yeah.
I'm right there with you. And especially, I think we've kind of gotten, you know, two good events in a row, you know, UFC 266, and then we get a pretty decent fight night card, all things considered. You know, now we're back to scraping the bottom of the barrel on some of these mid-season Contender Series events. So, you know, it is what it is, my man. As long as we can find some betting opportunities, that's always the critical point. And, you know, I'm right there with you, man. Got probably, you know, about 4 units of exposure on the card, so nothing crazy, but hoping to take home another win. Let's make it 7 in a row, baby.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's give these guys some winners.
Absolutely. I ended up locking in the fight doesn't go to the distance for 1 unit, by the way, on the Weems and Garcia fight. So lock that in at plus money. You know, I think that might get a little bit more action, so that's why I wanted to get it now. But yeah, lock that in during the show. My man Chance, you know, he gave me the extra confidence. I saw that and was like, I kind of like that. He thinks it's the best value bet on the card. Bink, I'm in.
Hey, I like the chat, man. I like it. You know, we're just because we're here on camera and saying all this stuff doesn't mean we know more than the chat. You know, I always say that, you know, there's people in the chat that are very, very good with this stuff too. So my
man Tajik Bey was on my show last week. He started in the chat, letting people know what's up. So I'm right there with you, Narco.
That's fire. Would Shamoon round 3 or decision be it okay, Haj? You know, honestly, if he's to win, I think it's probably by decision. I just don't see, he doesn't have enough power. I don't like his power. I don't think he's going to be able to put out Malott. But honestly, I have 3-point units on Malott. How could I tell you that that's going to be an okay hedge bet? Because I don't think he's going to win here. I really don't. I think there's, levels to this, and I think Malott is just at a higher level. This guy's 21 still, so he has room to grow, and he's now at Syndicate. He's probably going to get better. He just needs more work. It's too early for him. I think this is an early call for him, and we might see him later. I'm not too happy with this game at this point. Chance says no. There you go. Chance has the answer. He says no. Cool. All right, brother. Liam, you want to let the viewers know where they can find you? Anything you want to shout out? Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. Well, number one, I want to just say very thankful for the opportunity to be here. Had a lot of fun talking about these fights. I'm still going to have to dig through myself some more of this tape. If I want to add any exposure, I have had bigger exposure events of the Contender Series than 4 units. So I might go a little deeper on some of these picks. I know that I'm going to be going back over these picks in depth with my man Gordo tomorrow on my channel. So you can check that out, Liam Picks Fights. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at that very same channel. Chance indeed just asked about it. And yes, indeed, Chance, I will be doing a show tomorrow for the Contender Series. I'll also be back to be breaking down not very inspiring UFC Vegas 39 offering later this week as well. So really fired up about both of those things. And the last thing I got is just, if anybody wants to check out Prize Picks, they actually offer lines on the Contender Series for a lot of people that don't live in states that offer legal sports betting. Another fun alternative. You could put in some entries. They'll deposit match you 100% up to $100. Go ahead and tell them Liam sent you by putting in that Liam in the promo code box. And I always appreciate when you do. So, yeah, that's if you want to check out a DFS offering. You look at Prize Picks. Other than that, I got nothing for you. I'm back to the tape, back to the grind, just like everybody else.
One more thing. I don't know. Are you still doing the Roto Grinder stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Want to let everybody know that that's even better, my man. Narco's even keeping me honest. I write for Roto Grinders as well. Gave an absolute dud this weekend, which I'm disappointed in. I was certain that fight was going to end inside the distance. So we're back at it, back to the grindstone, giving out a lot of winners for my friends at Roto Grinders as well. And Scores and Odds, they just picked me up. I'm doing premium picks for Scores and Odds. I went 3 out of 4 picks cash this weekend. All of the plays that were plus money cashed. Hit on Perez by submission at plus 1,000. Gordon money line at plus 126, and goodness gracious, what was the other one? Jamie Malarkey plus 136, 1 unit. So yeah, cashed in big for my first week on Scores and Odds premium picks. If you guys want to check out what Scores and Odds are doing, my man Delphi Commission is there as well. So we got a lot of good picks for you on offer.
Awesome. The guy's doing big things, guys. Roto Grinders, Scores and Odds, guys everywhere is doing great. I'm happy for him. Yeah, man. Thank you for being on with me. We had a great show with Uncle Weezy. Yeah, I'm just looking to cash some more tickets, man. And I'll probably be all over this low level stuff this week again, like usual. So I crushed the Cage Warriors this past week. I had 2 great fucking lines and just smashed it. I put it out on Twitter for whoever follows me on Twitter. Narco Cop on Twitter. Please follow me there. I put a lot of my live plays on there. So that's another thing. Dana White's Contender Series, you're going to get a lot of, if you can, and you do have that in your books where you can bet these live lines. I mean, there's a lot of good ones out there, guys, and they're mispriced a lot of the times, and we're just smashing them. So, yeah, just like
let's do it. Let's smash them again.
Just like we're smashing those lines, though, you got to smash that like button too. So, all right, brother. Nice having you again, and we'll chat it up, and you'll be on the show again, or I'll be on your show or something. We'll figure something out.
Absolutely, the pleasure has been all mine. Good guys versus the bookies every week. Thank you, brother.
All right, take care, brother. All right, guys. Yeah, that's about it. That's a wrap for the show. Thank you for all the chat that's here. 21 still here. Thank you, guys. Kind of long-winded, hour 40 minutes already. I got to try to cut this down. It's going way too long, but if you guys enjoy it, I'm happy. It's one more sleep, guys. till tomorrow, and hopefully you catch some tickets. Yeah, I think next week's Dana White's Contender Series card is going to be much, much better. There's some real talent in next week's card. But yeah, I'll be back next week. I'm actually going to have a show on Friday. It's going to be me and AJ MMA betting. He's also a local guy here, really sharp guy. I have this new show coming up. It's going to be called Lambo Plays. So get ready for it. It's going to be out on Friday. We're going to be live on Friday. I'm going to have Luke from Sparring with Reality. Luke, he's going to be on the show pretty often, and I'm going to have some other guests, but it's going to be a great show. I'm going to go over the rules with you guys on Friday. It's going to be just a fun show, man. There's going to be some drinks and some picks. That's about it. If you guys have anything else, you could shout it out. PFL looks wild for the end of the month at plus 1,300 on a card. PFL is always good for underdogs. Anyone willing to bare knuckle fight for grocery money is going to fight for your money. So it's going to be a sweat if you're on the Garcia side. Yep, you sure is. Make sure you John Jones like that button. Yes, Dalton. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you, Chance. That was uncalled for. Well, what was uncalled for? Wait, am I missing something? Maybe you're talking about what Liam said, I guess, was uncalled for. But anyways, take care, guys. Have a great night. Thank you for staying up with me. And yeah, I'll be back Friday on with AJ MMA. Take care, guys.